Well, let's see. It says we're live. So, welcome everybody. How are you doing? It is Friday, first one of the new year. Yeah, it just means there's 51 more to go, right? But everything is good. We got favor and abundance here. And so, welcome. So good to see everyone. Well, I hope you're in a good place and that life is giving you the very best. That's what favor does. So favor, that's it. And nothing missing, nothing broken. That's a beautiful thing. Why can't reality just be that? Nothing missing, nothing broken. I think in that kind of realm, this is a little, digression from the intro, but nevertheless, we go with the flow, right? So, why can't that be a reality? Nothing missing, nothing broken. In that type of reality, I don't think there would be a need for a deity, a God, because within ourselves, we would be not broken and there would be nothing missing. I can sign up to that. Just come on over to my beach. When you cross over, you'll see the sign that says Steiger's Beach. Come on in and we'll have a good time. So anyway, again, happy prosperity. I tell you what, I love it. I love it. Gotta want more of it. Anyway, we'll start getting to a chant on that one. Yeah, that's worth chanting, So again, welcome. Good to see y'all here. So many of you are, I love this group. Lori, favor, right back at you. Bonnie and Scotty boy. Great day it is. I seen that thing, Crazy Cats, there was a group. Does anyone remember them? What were they? They were something like that. There was a song that they had, but anyway, again, Big Daddy C, what's up? Good to see you, John Price and S. Lee and Joyce, Chloe, and Gilbert. I will give you a call afterwards. I apologize. Sometimes in my world, it gets a little hectic, but it's a good hectic. Anyway, Mark Smith, what's up? How are you in Mexico, sir? Sending you favor and abundance of prosperity. As Cretans would say, cast a spell on you. But we're talking prosperity. We're talking just nothing missing, nothing broken. It's not a bad thing. I say it all the time. And that which we speak, that is what we become. Abracadabra. Hey, Carolyn, how you doing? Well, just send that way too, man. Don't bogart that joint, my friend. Pass it over to me. Hello, Easy Rider. I mean, you gotta love that. Oh yeah. Yeah. Many of us who came in and experienced the late 60s into the early to mid 70s, it's a far out time. I mean, yeah, there was a lot of crap in the world, always is, but I don't know. I contend that period of time, you could actually say from about 19, and I'm going back to Robert Johnson. How many of you know who Robert Johnson is? He was back in, I think, 31, 32, black blues singer from Mississippi. And if you know the time of his era, but he was, wow, if you ever get a chance, go listen to some of his records. You can do that on YouTube. Yeah, how about that? But anyway, my contention is that we went through a region of space. It's just my hypothesis. And due to the radiation, whatever, there could be a number of factors. We entered in this time of hyper creativity. Music in its explosion, along with then, the first mass hypnotizer radio, because the radio drew us away into another reality. It allowed us to escape into other people's worlds. And music I mean, I really enjoy, in the 30s, they had the crooners, they were just, Sinatra, and then you had the big bands, Benny Goodman. And then you got into, the World War II era, Big Swing. Love Big Swing. It had a resurgence back in, in the 90s, I believe. And yeah. And then came rock and roll. Mm-mm-mm. The world was never the same. So, oh yeah, it's and you look at the influence of what happens when our species was subjective to a sound, a vibration. I mean, the Beatles, I guess, would be the epitome, the definition of what happens to a species, particularly its younger ones who never were exposed to this because neither were their parents and their grandparents. It was not even a reality. But then came the Beatles, changed everything. I mean, you go back and you look at this and you study it, and just remember, you have the opportunity to be in the future and look back into the past in specific snippets of the past. And you look at those concerts with the four lads from Livermore, and then you see where they came in and what they did. I mean, the female aspect of that generation, it unleashed a power. Some could say that it unleashed a sexual prowess. I think that there would be plenty supportive argument for that. But nevertheless, it changed everything. Yeah. What a time to been alive. That's all I got to say. Thank you, New Yoda. I love that. So I'm serious, folks. Today we're going to get into some deep philosophical thinking here, really get into the esoteric of what this is. So I did a little presentation, and I just want to use it as a backdrop for our show today. So give me 1 second here. So here is something to consider. I asked the question, what is the value of Earth? And I asked a number of questions, and I want us to start thinking about this beyond just man. Somehow, you talk to people and they have this assumption, this pre-assumption that, hey, we own the planet. Hell, we own it, and we can subdivide it, and we can sell it, and we can sell it again. And when you think you bought it, you didn't actually buy it. What you're doing is that you're paying taxes on it, which is paying rent. But yet no one could ever make one parcel of Earth. So I began to think, all right, so we have a whole monetary system, a whole economy. So what if a planet? I mean, isn't that what gold is about? Mining precious minerals, jewels. And so what if there was yet a higher intelligence that uses solar systems as commerce? Different stars have different value depending on what their exoplanets actually do. Can they produce, sentient life? Biological life? Does that the value go up? Is it really an issue of commerce using solar systems, planets, moons, stars as currency? I happen to own that. You see that solar system over there? Yeah, it's kind of like in the 2/3 out. Yeah, we own that. Yeah. It's been in the family for eons. I mean, is that how it comes? I mean, it's just a question worth asking. You're going, okay, I don't know, maybe. So it got me into this, and where you say, well, Earth is a prized possession, a rare resource. It would appear, if you look at all the different books, philosophers, ideologists, that put thought to these things, well, what's my purpose? Why are you here? Why are you here? What is your purpose to accomplish? What if it is nothing more than what it really is here? A person is born, you get a birth certificate, it's all in capital letters, and you're suddenly got a number, and, yeah. Welcome to the machine. So what if it's been fought over? I mean, I'm talking freaking armadas. Dun, 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 yeah, coming in, and you're going, okay. But seriously, why couldn't it be that way? If Earth has life, and if you go with the idea of the Anunnaki, Enki, Anu, Enyel, we got gold. I mean, gold, I'm talking. And we got a bunch of other rare stuff, maybe even stuff that we don't even know about yet. We don't have the knowledge of the technology. Okay. So what if it's been fought over? I mean, we had pirates. I mean, I hear they're bringing Jack Sparrow back. That ought to be fun. But what if it's nothing more than marauders? I mean, we're out here on the Group W bench, like we've been isolated, I don't know. We got our little clique here, our little solar system. We got our single star yellow dwarf. And yeah, I don't know. So what if it has been fought? Now, if you go back and you look at the Epic of Gilgamesh, you can go back to the Torah, Book of Genesis, all of them. I think specifically the Hindu religion, I think, and as well as with the Far East, tell of stories of ships in the sky that shot beams of light and these nuclear explosions. And we talked about it yesterday, Sodom and Gomorrah. I mean, believe what you want. I don't know about the sin thing. Got a real issue with it, because if you're branding me, again, as I said yesterday, before my beautiful white ass came into this realm, you're saying that I was already tattooed and screwed. That ain't fair. And then you tell me, well, life ain't fair. No bullshit. That's a fact. It certainly ain't. Isn't. But that doesn't mean it has to stay that way. And maybe I'm just an ideologist. Maybe one that, doesn't have myself fully grounded in reality, but you can't define reality any more than I can. So what if it has been these battles? Depending on which book you read, or books, we know at least the Bible talks of at least two, speaks of a third coming. Others that are older than the Bible talk about as many as 12. I mean, that's some relative real estate. And the interesting thing about it is that they all seem to be negative, but one. We ain't got it. So negativity would seem to be the choice of the entree of the menu. it appears that it doesn't change either. It can be stated that the current rulers, and I say S, plural, are not human. They're either dinosaurian or reptilian, it would appear. Or a reasonable facsimile thereof. If you look at this craziness that we're subjected to supernatural beings, they can be invisible, they got superpowers. We don't even know what dimension they are because, well, we never talk about dimensions as separate realities, but it does appear that they ain't human. If you go with the Sumerian mythos, history, they rule over many other planets. That's interesting. Kind of defines then what is life. Is life merely defined by the fact of us, carbon-based beings? We've proven that there is the reality of silicon-based beings. We're crystalline creatures. What if we're in metamorphosis, transition? But anyway, they seem to have that. And again, getting back to this thing, I mean, you look at the planet today, I mean, they say we've already crossed over to 8 billion. I want to know who's got the clock on that. I mean, you got to take into the books, in accounting, you have one debit out there that, you have to put in one credit because the idea is that the books have to balance, it has to balance to zero. And yeah, what a hell of a job, isn't it? So what if Earth is nothing more than commerce, as is all life? I mean, you and I, we're bought and sold all the time. If you live in the grand United States of America, well, you, me, well, we've got this net worth, because every country has a value, and a lot of that value comes to how many people are in that country are counted. But on the other hand, we also carried a lot of debt. We didn't even spend. Anyway, that's the type of commerce I'm talking about. So what if that mimics life? So planets have value. The value can be based upon certain columns of which, each one would have an assigned value of what makes it up. So minerals, bioforms, water, but the last one, the psyche. I mean, what if you were a species that fed off the psychic emotion of all life? Animals can be sad. Animals can be happy. They can express what they want, what they desire. It's an interesting thing. Many animals can. But what if you had one that was even easier to feed off of? Us. So I've talked about this before. Humans are food. I believe that is exactly. I think that it's very well evident. Humans have been fed upon from the very beginning. The thing about when I left my religion, I swear there's got to be a song like that, when I left my religion, but it's interesting because it says that the God that was of that religion inhabited the praise of his worshipers. I've contended Why would a God want worshipers to begin with? Well, I do know, because I've experienced, that it's intense, a lot of emotions. You got people who are crying and they're genuine. I mean, they're in a place, man. It's high, intense psychic energy. And you get more than one, as it is written, it's not an addition, it's a multiplication. 1, 10,000, 100,000. So for every person, let's say you have 100 people in that congregation, all in this intense psychic tunnel. You're admitting you can't see it. You may be able to measure it. If you had, we're going to talk about this, like an EMF meter, where we could actually watch this and see if there is a change when you have the intensity of such of a thing as praise. And you get people, again, I'll put this over here to the side. We'll see. Wow. If you feed off of that, yeah, I bet that's some potentate stuff. So anyway, my contention is that we've been a resource, not just physically. I mean, isn't it a hell of a thing? You're born into this realm and you can't do anything for yourself. You're helpless. If you don't have the merciful or whatever of another bigger human that's going to take care of you, that'll watch over you, particularly in the transition phase. I mean, birth is not something that any of us got over anytime soon. It's a very traumatic experience. But if you didn't have that, well, you're totally screwed. That's pretty cold. Think about it. I mean, that's what it could be and has been, I believe. Huh. Wow. I mean, think about that. So then you find out, when you get even of just you're still a little person, you find out you got this thing that you're going to have to work the rest of your life. The rest of your life. You, regardless if you want to or not, you're going to have to work. And then it goes on and on. I mean, come on. So what if the real value of that is the psychic value that's coming off? What gives Earth so much value are the humans they are harvested for their emotions. I mean, it's been proven. When we 9/11 was such an event where there was this palatable, and the Schumann Register picked it up. We collectively in grief. And again, if you're a being or beings that feed off of that, what is the value of the earth? The rulers feed off emotions, positive or negative. It's the same for them. And this is what's interesting. All worship, love, hate, politics, games, sports, sleep, sex, religion, singing, dancing, anything that evokes an emotional response is food. Check me out on this. And paranormal investigators will tell you this as well. You set up a camera, make sure it's secure, then, this is, an individual thing. And if you have another person participate, obviously it needs to be consensual. But my point is, if you have one of those IR cameras and you have it where two human beings are in the midst of coitus, first thing you're going to see is a lot of orbs, a lot of orbs. And then you can actually begin to measure if there is a change in the electromagnetic field. I mean, now we have, the full spectrum cameras. I mean, yeah, we're going to capture them. We're going to get the technology. And I think that's when they pull the plug on us. The more trauma, chaos, confusion, the more the rulers feed off of us. Always the misery thing, man. I mean, as if war is something that a species does. Kind of tells me that maybe we were taught that. Maybe we're a part of that. Maybe we are, well, as Ariel said, a prison planet. Love the tea. Just a thought. It seems like our misery is valuable. Now, this all kind of leads into what we're living in every day by day. It just sucks. Makes it's like we're human exhibits. I mean, I wonder who's really the watchers here, Yeah. Anyway, just a few thoughts. Maybe it really is this mechanism, this organ. I mean, it's freaking brilliant. It creates for me, when I see it, I know it's what's going on in my head, your head. I mean, we're all wired a little differently. But yet, that's creating my reality. Now, they say that our spirit is not actually in our bodies, but it's actually kind of hovering. Then you begin to think about that, then where's the soul? I got so, but anyway. Yeah, so there you go. Just some thoughts to think about. It's freaking weird is what it is. And what is the worth of our planet? And I keep saying this because, I have a chance to be out in a place where, that's a little, it's at night, it's just it's been cold, but there is just, I don't know, it's a place where I seem to be able to connect more and more. And the fear factor, we talked about this yesterday and had a great conversation, by the way, with Ryder Lee over with Raised by Giants. Tune into his show. I think it's at 8:00 my time, I think. Him and I met and had a great time. Great conversation. Just love that guy. And today at 3, I'll be actually doing another show with Chris Matthew over at Forbidden Knowledge News. And that's so true, isn't it? I mean, we have the forbidden knowledge. We got forbidden religions. It's freaking weird. My wife and I were talking last night, and again, she said, it's starting to really get to me. She said how one-sided this belief system is. And then the fact that the masculine is dominant to the point that it completely eviscerates the feminine. She says, I had never thought about that all of my life. And then, we're both on this journey of enlightenment as we're walking this path. And she said, that really sucks. She says it really does. And she says, you're right. When you think about this, they have gone to great lengths to completely obliterate any knowledge of any feminine goddess. I mean, people say God bless you, right? Well, why don't they say goddess bless you? Try it one time, see what happens. And make sure you got a camera going, because it'll hit them. Boom. Well, goddess bless you. What? That's just, I'm sorry, that just puts me as, I love it. So how is everybody there? Hey, Divine Empress, what's up? Deborah Sloan, good to see you. And Joyce Marie, Mary Wins, how are you? It's just funny. Matthew James, our past has been fabricated. Yeah, it sucks. Well, that's beautiful, hon. Angel Dreams, man, this group has changed. Well, I hope for the better. I mean, they seem to be a pretty delightful group, you'd have to admit. It's like, this is a group you can really party with. That's just what I'm just saying. You can be laid back and, man, just, and by that I mean, spiritual and mental stimulation. I mean, yeah, that can be intoxicating. Yes, the intoxicating elixir of knowledge. Have another hit. Anyway, I am not interested in this fight. You fight it. I'm busy trying to be me. I don't know what that means. That's what happens when you drop in on the conversation. You're like, what? Say what? Okay. True, though. Laura Vigorous says, what if this is a simulation and you love to discuss all of the theory of the game's rules? I think you must be a master teacher on the other realm. Laura, this is where we come over to exercise, But thank you, dear. Thank you. It's the great thing about it is when you open your mind to the unlimited potential possibilities, potentiality. And that's what bugs me again. I'm just talking, it's Friday, just kind of being laid back. Thank you, Mary Wynn. She says, please hit that like button. One of my childhood passed away and was buried yesterday. I don't know how to feel because they were still under the spell of heaven and hell, unfortunately. Yeah. Well, Brandy, I contend this. I don't believe it lasts long. And it's interesting because we pick up little tidbits, I call them golden nuggets or pearls. Remember the book Edidorfa, which is Aphrodite spelled backwards? And remember the man that caused everything, his character? And it was real interesting because as he was descending down into the earth, and the person or the whatever it was that was accompanying him down into wherever they were eventually going, which was the place of perfect peace. Anyway, he said that within 30 seconds after the transition, for us, the time would be like that. But for the individual going through the transition, the transmutation, it could be an eternity. And eventually, at the end of that 30 seconds, it kind of just dissipates and reality may set in there. That's what I choose to think. Yes, I know that we create what we speak, we create what we think. I get that. Yeah, I get that. That's why for me, it's important that I being able not only to challenge openly the questions that I've had, because I'm not alone in this boat. As I look around, it's like, well, what happened here? I mean, it's like, I thought I was the only one in this boat, and hell no. I mean, as far back as I can see, there's people. So it tells me that we're all got the same question here, I mean, if you've never had a religious orientation, you have a different perspective. If you've been highly indoctrinated and for long periods of time, you have this perspective. What I love about this group is that both groups have the ability to blend in together and to become seamless in the fact that it's not about who's right or wrong. We just want to know, where does it end? So, well, Brandy, you're welcome, my dear. You are. Yeah. Hey, there is Ryder Lee. People be festy today. It's a full moon, first one in the new year. Yeah, and it's time to charge. If you believe in that, which I do, I absolutely do. We generate an electrical field. And you can have all sorts of, again, it's very calm here. I just got to tell you, this room I'm in, it's like, it's a sanctum. That's a good one. But make sure to tune in to see Ryder tonight in our get together. It's at 8:00 here Central. And I left the link in the description box. So what position is Moon in? That's a good question, Angel. I know it's right up there. Where we live, we don't have light pollution. And it's freaking beautiful. That's all I got to say. Hey, Loretta, good to see you, Flight Risk. The collective is going crazy, high energy. Well, everyone just make sure to love the one you're with. That's all I got to say. So anyway, when you think about it, that we actually generate this electrical field, it's remarkable. It tells me something more than what I guess we can fathom. I've been working with more, and since I got in this gold magnetic sand. Interesting stuff. That's all I got to say. It is very interesting. Anyway, more coming in, and we're going to continue to. The moon is being driven by a drunk. Not arguing that. Hey, Danny, what's up? The moon was in the house of Gemini. Is that right, Danny? It went by really quick. Doctor Who. To answer your question, Mr. Lee. I just love reading the comments. Like I said, it's Friday. It's just kind of going with the flow. And I hope everybody's happy here. Love that stuff. So what else do I got coming? I wanted to pull up something else. So going along this theme, Ryder and I spoke about, we got into this discussion, and I asked him, I said, well, do you believe that everybody is the same on the inside? And he said, no. And I said, exactly. So if we were to extrapolate from that not all of us are the same on the inside, what is that saying? Well, it's saying that something else is going on here. Now, of course, that runs contrarian to the belief system that there is a monotheistic being responsible for everything, that planet Earth is just its little petri dish that it worked on and it didn't turn out well. Say, Lucky Stone says, who will save your souls when it comes to the flowers? Now, who will save your souls after all those lies? Oh, interesting. So that's her words. Okay. After all those lies that you told by now, boy, now you will save, who will save your souls if you won't save your own soul? Yeah. I still contend I'm trying to figure out how I can be this schizophrenic in the ethereal realm. If I have a soul, but I have a spirit as well. I mean, isn't that what schizophrenia is? I mean, do we have this dual psychic type of being? I mean, what is that that saying? If a schizophrenic is holding himself hostage, I'll have to get this back. Oh, yeah. Okay. Anyway. Hey, Streetmon. Good to see you. John Price, we resemble the world forced to wear bowling shoes. Oh, yes, 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 yes. So anyway, if we all don't have that same thing, the soul, I mean, are there different types of souls? I mean, the question that I have, and it's been asked many times, so here in this realm, this reality, sapiens, Homo sapiens sapiens, they have many different variations of ourselves. I mean, you can be white, you can be black, you can be red, you can be yellow, brown. I mean, and then someone said, well, so when we pass over, what? You don't no longer deal? I mean, wouldn't that be what you would be used to? Hey, Isby, what's up? I mean, I'm just asking for a friend. I mean, do we see ourselves as heroic energies? I mean, then how do you explain shadow people? They exist. It's one of the things when it gets warm here, I'm going to be going, they actually have the opportunity where you can actually go to the Missouri State Prison here. And I think it's going to be interesting. But my point is, I often wondered who and what are shadow people? We've captured them. I mean, they're there. Who are they? How'd they get here? Were they human at one time? And then that begs the question, well, if you believe that there is a heaven and a hell, then what about the ghost, the spirits that you can capture on camera? You can capture them with the equipment we have. What happened to them? Did they just miss the bus? Was this an episode in, The Matrix 2? Were they at the train station and just couldn't get on? Or is it like in the movie Ghost? Patrick Swayze. Missed that guy. But is it like that? I mean, I think that becomes an issue. And then here's the question, for the group. So if we are these souls or these spirit beings, I mean, how can we be two? It doesn't, so what? Is there a blending? But however, There is theological foundation to that. I point out to you, not that many of you may really care, but where I learned this about 35 years ago, I actually did a study, Bible study, on this, that it says in Hebrews 4:12 that the word of God is sharper than any two-edged sword, able to cut asunder both spirit and soul, bone and marrow. So my whole thing is that, well, what the hell is Paul talking about here? If you subscribe that Paul was the author of the book of Hebrews, I would have plenty of arguments to say it wasn't. But anyway, but what's being said here? So where does that come back from? What belief system did this arrive from? Because it's not Hebraic in the sense that, their belief is that the only thing that you have to look forward to when you die is to be at peace. However, there is this other place where you will not be at peace. And it's not heaven or hell because it's not actually in that sense. But then again, so what's serving out the sentence? Who's asleep? Is it the soul or is it the spirit? How can the spirit, thus being ascend above the soul? Is it devoid of memory? I don't know. And then if you believe in the resurrection of the dead, so what's inhabiting the body? Is it just the soul? Would the spirit at that point, what? The spirit would not have any memory of its soul. I'm just putting this out there, rapture. Yeah. That's an interesting concept, the rapture, boy. Can talk about that one. But anyway, I'm just trying to put it out there. So how does that work? And if we are made of aliens, if we are a genetic experiment, did we happen to get a soul by accident? It would appear that the second God who made the second Adam, that's what he gave us, said it breathed into Adam, and suddenly Adam had a living soul. Eve didn't get one. You doubt me? Go read it. I'm going, wait a minute. So he breathed into his nostrils and gave him a living soul. So now we got to ask the question. So he didn't have a soul before this event, but he was up walking, talking. I mean, was that the spirit? I mean, you're being infused with something. We're just having a theoretical discussion here. So, and not saying that this is how it's happened, but metaphors, analogies, draw from as you will. So we have this event now of something that happened. So the female did not have the breath of life or the living soul breathed into her. Now, if you're saying, strictly from a theology point of view, that Adam somehow had the ability to impart this living soul into Eve, now we got to figure out then what's really going on here. See, that would elevate Adam to the level of a god. I'm just asking for a friend. I mean, um, think about this. Think about the implications. And then you got this little conundrum where Cain comes into this picture. Now, I don't know if there was a Cain or if there wasn't a Cain. It's a great element to the story. I mean, it's like reading, Sherlock Holmes book. I mean, we got the clues everywhere. We got to discover more. So you got this thing with Cain. All right. So he has the same mama, but there apparently is a different baby daddy. So does Cain not have a soul? Now, if Cain didn't have a living soul either infused into him because he wasn't of Adam's bloodline, so does that imply we can extrapolate that and say, all right, let's take it out of that fantasy and let's try to apply it today in our world here, because we can't remember our ass over a hole in the ground as to where we came from. But anyway, so is that implying that there's two different genesis of humans here? Those that have a soul and those who don't have a soul? I think they all have a spirit. Just putting it out there. Ryder is tonight at 8:00 Central Time. I put the link in. And I will be meeting with Chris at 3:00 my time, I think 2:00 Mountain Time. So yeah. Deborah says the first division of humanity. That's an interesting way. I like that, Deborah. Deborah Sloan. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. And they never wanted to answer these questions. Of course, I didn't have the same point of view that I have today. I mean, I would not be invited to stay in the class in most biblical environments. Ah, there we go. Woo. It's crazy, and it's interesting. So, killing his brother, yeah, that the whole thing with the whole story with Cain is just an interesting story. I mean, according to, if you read from the Torah, he apparently had this horn. They toned it down into PG of saying it was a mark on his forehead, but it's actually was saying it was a crown, a horn. So who knows? Have you studied the Van Allen radiation belt? Yeah, it's kind of the prison. if you read Ariel's story, and remember, I think her story has so much validation. We know Mars, there was a battle on that planet that decimated the planet, changed its whole complete structure. It is well thought and theorized because no one can actually go out and prove it. But the asteroid belt is the remnants of a former planet, our twin. Some call it Tiamat, others Marduk. Yeah. I did a video, what was it? I don't know, 3-4 years ago that showed that the moon was our ark, that it took the remnants from that destroyed planet from the last battle that took place here and took the inhabitants of what I would call the water world, Tiamat, to over here. It's because our moon, it doesn't rotate, it doesn't spin, but yet it has a gravitational field to it. Makes it really weird. But yeah. Was it Cain or was it Abel? Everything seems to be backwards. And it's interesting because you do realize, let's just can we just examine that for a minute? So you got Cain, right, bringing his sacrifice to this God, right? And then you had Abel. So let me tell you the key difference between the two. Cain was a vegetarian. He raised crops. He was more in tune to the earth. He represented the earth. So no matter what his sacrifice, it was considered cursed. Why? Because this God had cursed the earth. Told Adam, he said, you're going to, be the sweat of your brow. But here's the thing that they don't teach you in Sunday school. Abel, on the other hand, was a bloodthirsty, rotten son of a bitch. Because apparently he was really into the slitting of the throat, bringing forth the sacrifice of living flesh. And yeah, we don't think about that side of the equation, do we? Yeah, because that's what it's implying. You have a bloodthirsty deity that seems to have a penchant for blood. Our blood, animals' blood, it's blood. Yeah, we don't think about that, do we? I wonder why we didn't catch that. It's right there in the open. I mean, they didn't hide it. But no one stops and thinks about that. So what is that implying? If it implies that there is this need for the sacrifice of blood, and then what's that whole thing about, Abel's blood crying out from the ground, seeking revenge? Blood, blood, blood everywhere. That's all I got to tell you. It's a bloody mess. Okay. Lucky says maybe Cain didn't like killing, so the only way to stop it was to kill the killer. That's my point. I mean, I can dig bringing, part of your harvest in, yeah, I mean, it's remarkable to me because we never learn. How did Cain learn how to raise crops? I mean, folks, it's if you're just using a stone axe, that's some, I'm going to tell you what, that's some hard work. And how did Abel learn husbandry? I mean, okay, so Adam taught him that. Is that what you're trying to say? Well, okay. So Adam is what? The supercomputer? Oh, was Adam a god? Don't know. I'm just talking amongst a friend. The Bible was a book where the word blood and sacrifice was a big storyline. Yeah. What does it say in the book of Isaiah 1:19? It says, this God prefers obedience than to sacrifice. Every time I hear that, because it was ingrained in me, I'm going, all right, wait a minute. So you're saying you want me to be obedient. So wait a minute. I thought I was the sentient being that had free will. And, maybe I don't want it always to do it the way that you do it, because, I mean, your track record isn't exactly spectacular. I don't know. I digress. But the blood thing, it's all over, everywhere. That's why I don't get wars. Violence that people do to one another. I mean, that is something that's, bugs me. But anyway, Scotty Boy is correct. Animal husbandry. That's exactly it. I mean, how they know that? And wait a minute. So are you saying that all animals were domesticated? That's what they're saying. I mean, okay. How did that happen? It's magic. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. So there we go. Oh, I hope you enjoyed today's little adventure into another rabbit hole. But our rabbit holes always kind of lead us back up to the surface again. I don't know. Angel said maybe that Cain and Abel were the same person. Could be completely metaphorical, couldn't it? Yeah. Yeah. No. We can do better. You see, if they injected us into a counter thought, we would be like this, this virus to them. I mean, it's like, get them out, get them out. We just want to love you, man. All right, folks, thank you. Have yourselves a great Saturday and Sunday. Enjoy the time. Suck it up and just enjoy the time. Exactly. I know it's weird out there, but just keep on smiling. And I got Wet Willie in my head. Just keep on smiling. All right. So off we go. See y'all hopefully on Monday. And hey, all the rest, thank you. You're special. You are. Whether you want to believe it or not, you really are. And there's only one of you. Well, in the flesh. Your digital avatar, well, that's another question. All right, so folks, thank you again. Angels, Gemini, Cancer, Moon. Wow. That sounds impactful. Seriously, it sounds impactful. All right, folks, see y'all on